Good evening and welcome to UK Crime Book Club. This evening, I'm delighted to be joined with John Nicholl, and John is coming this evening to chat about his latest psychological thriller, which is called The Surgeon. Hi, John. Thank you for joining us.
Glad to be here.
Would you like to start by introducing yourself and your latest book?
Yeah, sure. As you said, my name is John Nicholl. The Surgeon is my 17th book. Book 18 is coming out in April. Do you want to say a little bit about my background? Or
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
I started writing almost by accident, really. In my career, I was a police officer initially, and then I trained as a social worker and ended up in child protection.
Oh, wow. That's a tough job.
It was. I'd left. I ended up as head of the service for Carmarthenshire in West Wales. Didn't actually start writing until I left that job. And the way that came about was I was talking to a psychologist about the psychological impact of child protection work on me and on my staff and on the various police officers I worked with. She suggested I write some of my experiences down almost as a sort of self-therapy thing.
Yeah.
So that resulted in the first book, which at the time I self-published. It was called White is the Coldest Colour. It amazingly sold crazy. It sold about 150,000 copies.
Wow.
And then ended up with an agent and a publishing deal because of that book. And it's been republished a couple of times since, first by Bloodhound and then more recently by Boldwood, who changed the title to The Doctor.
Right.
So never planned to become a writer. That it just happened that way, and then I've carried on from there, really.
Yeah, so I mean, 17 books. That's pretty impressive.
Well, yeah, it surprises me, to be honest. I don't know. Yeah, as I said, it wasn't planned. The first one was almost a sort of diary of sorts at the start, and then as I was writing it, I thought, well, actually, this could be a story. It's fictionalized, but it draws heavily on my experiences with several cases. One case in particular, which had a really big impact on me and on several of my staff and a few of the police that I was working with as well. So it was a way of getting those experiences out in a way, sort of working through them. And the fact that it sold as well as it did, so I didn't have a clue about marketing. I don't know how it happened, really. I was just very, very lucky. It signed with an agent because of it, a guy called Toby Mundy, who founded Atlantic Books. And then just by a complete coincidence, one of the marketing people at Bloodhound happened to read it. They messaged me sort of directly and said, we'd like to sign you. We'd like to sort of republish the book, which happened. And then more recently, a similar thing happened with Boldwood, really.
Oh, well, yeah. Who you're with now?
Who were a brilliant publisher. I'm really delighted to be with them. Someone from Boldwood messaged me. We were actually on holiday at the time in Lanzarote, and said, would you like to join this? So it all happened that way, really.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, it never sort of happens quickly for most people. It's a sort of a gradual process, and actually reading this book, it's dark, isn't it? Because this is the first book I've read. It is a dark read, and I know that from the sort of comments when I put up that we were going to be chatting tonight, that you're also very popular, because I've had lots of people say, "Oh, I love his books." So I mean, there is that sort of. We'll sort of talk more about the book in a second, but what sort of was it? So basically, it was your sort of experiences in your job that sort of made you. And is that sort of carried on, or because of that, or do you think you've gone in that direction because that's how you started?
I think maybe the second scenario. The first one, actually the first three which was the doctor, the wife, and the father. Those are all heavily inspired by my professional experience. And as I say, particularly one case, which it was a really major case in the UK, which was getting on the front page of newspapers and on News at 10 several nights running for months on end, really. So that case had a big impact on me and on a lot of other people.
Yeah.
It was successful in the end in terms of prosecutions, and it was the first case in the UK of its kind which had resulted in prosecutions. So it was a big deal at the time. The first 3 books were influenced by that. The first one is a story of an investigation, a child protection investigation, that turns into a large-scale joint police social work investigation. Although in the book it all happens in a couple of weeks rather than a couple of years. Just the reality, it would have taken longer. And then a number of people, particularly women who had been through similar experiences, asked me, in the story, there's this particular evil guy, a guy called Dr. Galbraith, who's the organizer of an abuse ring. And he's with a partner, a wife, who's actually an intelligent young woman. And a number of people said, how could someone like her stay with a man like that? So rather than try and explain that, they decided to write the second book, which is called The Wife, which is in her voice. It's written in the first person. It's her telling her story to try and explain how people can be, particularly in those circumstances, manipulated, with coercive control, threats, actual violence. So that's the second story. And then the third story, which is called The Father, is a boy in the book who's now an adult and a journalist looking back at his life experiences, trying to make sense of what happened to him. So those 3 are sort of heavily influenced by my work. I wrote a couple as well. There's one called The Sisters and another called The Cop, which are books about domestic violence that are basically about how the system often lets women down. In case of domestic violence. They're female revenge stories where women take
control.
Take it into their own hands because they've been so badly let down by the system. So I guess to some extent all the books are influenced by what happened or the things I saw and people I met. But I think the more recent books perhaps have moved away from that a little bit. The Surgeon, it certainly draws on some of the type of people I met, and I try and give people a psychological understanding of how people behave in different circumstances, including the offenders, and try and get inside people's heads effectively.
That was one question I was going to ask you, actually, was the book. So should we just talk a little bit about, do you want to give us a little bit just about sort of the outline of the book without spoilers? So
yeah, sure. It's about a man who was a surgeon, a guy was very eminent. He's been knighted, so he's was a professor who thinks he's better than everyone else. He's effectively a psychopath in that he thinks everyone else's needs come second, only his matter. That he's superior to the rest of the world, and he thinks of the people that he ill treats as almost like labs. He calls them lab rats. So he doesn't think they're worthy of any consideration at all, other than in relation to his own needs. So the book starts off with, it's all written in the first person, obviously you've read it, all written in the first person, but in the voice of different characters. So it starts with him in prison. He's been convicted of murder, but the irony is, although he has committed murders, the actual one he's convicted of, he didn't do. So the book moves on then to that becomes...
he's not happy about that, is he?
He gets released, and it goes from there, really. he's got revenge in mind on the people who he sees as having wronged him, including one victim from the past who escaped him, who survived his attack. So he sees even that as having wronged him. That how dare this woman survive? And he devises particularly awful, heinous ways of getting his revenge on various people. So it's a story of the investigation and of his decline into madness, if you like. Although I think he's pretty crazy right from the start.
Yeah, well, he's sort of hell bent on. So we've got him, haven't we? Professor Alexander Aitken, and then we've got Detective Laura Kelsey, and then the survivor of one of his attack is Megan.
Yeah.
And he's hell bent on revenge, isn't he? Of Laura particularly, because she was the one who put him away. And through the book, you get to have the perspectives of all of those, don't you, in the first person? So you get to know them, and he's sort of, before even he does get released, so he's plotting his revenge on her, because he completely holds her totally responsible, doesn't he, for stopping him.
He doesn't see himself as culpable in any way. He doesn't think he's done anything wrong.
I mean, he's a really nasty guy. I'm quite interested of somebody who seems as sort of quiet and gentle as you, that can get that sort of inside someone's head and be like that, because he's awful.
Yeah, I spent 20 years investigating people, met a lot of victims, a lot of offenders.
Yeah, so you probably knew a lot of people who were like him, maybe not to that extreme, but
not to the extreme of him, but certainly people who were psychopathic and who did some pretty awful things. Yeah,
because he's I sort of the him as a character, was it difficult to write him? Was it, because he is, I mean, he is very extreme, isn't he? Very dark, and he's when he sort of carries out some of his crimes, it's quite, it's gripping, but also dark, isn't it?
He's an awful character. Yeah. I prefer writing some of the other characters. This character I like a lot more. Ray Lewis, for example, I think he's a really nice guy character. And he's based on someone I knew in the police. I find those easier to write, but I think with a book like The Surgeon, it's important. It's a sort of love-hate thing.
Yeah,
you want readers to hate
absolutely.
this. Yeah. And equally, you want them to feel some liking or affection for some of the other characters. So I try and portray people in a sort of multi-dimensional way, and try and make them real, really, in a reader's mind. So the story is important, but the people, the character development is perhaps the most important.
Yeah. I think the characters are really good. I think that I really like Laura, because she's a real workaholic, isn't she? She's
she's very good.
But also quite tormented by.
Yeah, I think that's the reality of police. And I gave a talk recently which involved some local police officers. And those are the sort of themes we're coming across, is not only how tough the job is. I mean, it was a long time ago when I did it.
Yeah.
How tough the job is, but how difficult it can be to get a conviction, particularly in cases, things like rape, where the conviction rates absolutely unbelievably low. I think it's something like 2% of cases.
Yeah.
I think it might even be slightly under that. So, yeah, Laura Kesey, who's the DI, local DI. In our area, you've only got one detective inspector per region. It's not like somewhere like the Met, where you've got loads of people.
Right, okay, yeah.
We're a massive geographical area, but I think it's the biggest geographical force in Britain, but in terms of officer numbers, it's very small. So it's challenging.
Yeah.
And I mean, that comes across, hopefully.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, yeah, I really liked her as a character, and I think she's sort of, like you say, I imagine that as a police officer, it's more than a job, isn't it? It becomes
Yeah,
your life.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's what her partner sort of, she sort of thinks that she should be able to sort of, leave it by the door. And
yeah.
I don't imagine that's possible, particularly dealing with some of the things that you've sort of touched on that you've dealt with. It must be
No,
almost impossible to do that.
I think it is almost impossible. And I think, I mean, my daughter's married to a detective in the Met, and one of the sayings in the place is join the force and get a divorce.
Really? Oh, God. That's not good, is it?
I mean, they're very happy together. He's a great guy. But it's quite common for police officers to marry other police officers, or to be in a relationship with other police officers, or people like nurses or social workers. So they've got some sort of mutual understanding of the realities of working with that sort of stress all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, sort of, how do you think your sort of writing has changed over the period that you've been writing? Do you think that you've sort of, do you like the sort of more psychological sort of getting inside that, you said about getting inside the head of the characters and then the character development? Is that really like an area that you enjoy doing?
I think I've always done it because it just comes naturally from. I was having to write things like court reports, do assessments on people
Yeah.
when I was in the job. So I mean, that bit sort of comes easily, really, in terms of understanding how people operate. So I don't think that's changed a great deal.
No.
I try and challenge myself, like with the surgeon, having each chapter in a different person's voice. I thought it was an interesting concept, but also I did it to challenge myself.
Yeah.
The one I wrote before that, which is The Boyfriend, is a much more conventional book. It's written in the third person, like most novels are.
I like the first person. I think it really gives you that sort of, it does give you that sort of inside the head much more, doesn't it? Because
yeah,
because although the other people are you've got sort of crossovers with characters of things that are happening, it's very different seeing it from inside, or reading inside the head of what one person, how they perceive, particularly with like the professor, his crazy mind is it's not like something that generally a person's going to experience. So actually it's quite interesting.
Yeah, that's the intention, really. I mean, when I used to train people in investigation, I always used to tell them not to assume the person they're interviewing thinks like they do.
Yeah.
Because we all have that tendency, and it certainly happens in social work, and there's been a number of cases that have gone horribly wrong because the professionals involved assume that the people that they're investigating have a similar mindset or have a similar moral compass, and sometimes they just don't.
No.
And that's quite hard to recognize until you've got some experience of it.
I think that's quite a common thing with all people, isn't it? That you assume that people are going to think the same way as you do, and then actually when you realize they don't, it's actually like, oh, okay.
It'd be a bit of a surprise, particularly if it's on the extreme of things.
Yeah. Sort of when you sort of, with the twists and the turns in this book, because like you have, so it's quite clear from the outset you've got your baddie, and you sort of know that he wants revenge, but it's not as straightforward as that, as there's twists and turns. So when you sort of set out to write your book, and you have your idea of what you're going to do, how does that sort of work out with the twist? Is that something that you do at the beginning? Is it something you do as you go along?
I haven't got a clue what the book's going to entail, really. Like with this one, I had the idea of having this guy, this psychopath who is wrongly convicted and gets released. But other than that, I didn't have a clue what the book was going to be about or how it was going to go. And when I'm writing it, or writing a book, I have no idea what's going to be in the next chapter, or even, to be honest, what's going to be on the next page until I actually write it.
You're a pantser, as they would call you.
Yeah, don't tell you. it's weird, although I've heard lots of other people say similar things. It's almost as if it's getting dictated in my head.
Really? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah, you just sort of, it just sort of you, as you get to go in the sort of the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the role of it, you get on a roll and you go.
yeah, and I can hear the characters talking, and I mean, not physically, not actually hear
No,
them,
no,
but
no.
I
Yeah,
can picture it in my head, and the various scenes, um, and that, well, it works for me anyway. I know some people talk about having writer's block and things. That's literally never happened to me.
that's good.
Yeah,
I think 17 books that you're definitely, and do you find when you're like, do you have a lot, like when you're writing, you have a lot of ideas sort of like keep popping into your head sort of thing?
it can be just something very simple, really. With the book The Holiday, which is I think of it as my Marmite book, because um, it's strange. A lot of people loved it and a lot of people hated it, and that really hasn't happened to me before. And that's another story. But with that, it sold really well, so that's great. Um, yeah, we were on a plane, myself and my wife. We were flying out to Lanzarote, where we end up going most winters, and this really very elegant woman walked onto the plane. A really striking looking person who almost like she'd come up a catwalk.
Yeah.
And we were sort of, it was we were at Cardiff Airport on an economy flight, you know. And Diane, who's my wife, said to me, "God, I've never seen anyone look more out of place on an economy." And I thought, okay, that's a great start to a story.
Yeah.
So it became, yeah, that's the first bit of the book, and it goes from there.
People say that, don't they, that if you're a writer, you're sort of constantly like looking around for, ideas, or like listening into people's conversations, and I guess you've got sort of a bit of a head start on that from having a career where you were so
Yeah,
involved with people and psyche and that sort of things. But
yeah, yeah.
actually, yeah, that's just that little nugget is what starts you off.
Sometimes that's all it takes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I've just finished another one actually, which is it's up for pre-order. It's called The Girl in the Attic, and that came about in a similar way, really, in terms of the story. It's just something that happened when we were away on holiday, and I thought, oh, that's a good scene, so built it in.
Holidays obviously inspire you.
Yeah, yeah, I think they probably do. I think if you're particularly relaxed, it's
Yeah.
easier. Things flow a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that one, I got a lot faster over the years. The first one took me 2 years, and I because of its subject matter and because of what it was inspired by, I came so close to deleting it a couple of times. Obviously, now I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah.
And never thought it was going to be a book. And then after that, I was doing them in about 6 months, but more recently, I'm a little bit faster than that again. So in that way, I've got better at writing, in that I can write.
So how many do you sort of, how many do you have a year? A couple?
Yeah, I've been doing 2 a year up to now. I'm contracted for another 2. The one coming out in April is the first of a 3-book contract. So I'll have 2 more to do with Boldwood then, and then that'll take me up to 20. So it sounds like a nice round figure. So
that's a nice round number.
Yeah, I'll decide what to do after that. See how I feel.
So I always think revenge is a really great theme to have in a book, because it's quite often, they always say there's like, it's one of the reasons that most people, there's one of the reasons for murder. It definitely, sort of evokes a lot of emotion in people, whether it's, whether they've been wronged or, for whatever reason. Cool. Is it something that you've used in books before, or is this the first time you sort of?
Yeah, I've used it a lot, but it's often the victim's revenge rather than
the perpetrator.
Yeah, yeah, this one's unusual. I won't say what the ending is, but it's unusual in that respect. In the one before the boyfriend, that again was very much it starts off with a rape, and then goes on to a court case. I think it's about 9 months later, where the detective is horrified that this guy gets off, and it's not the first time he's got off. It's happened. Same things happened several times with the rape allegation, and that turns into a victim-led story, really, where both the police and a particular victim are desperate to see this guy actually pay a price. So that resonates with me, because it's something that sort of sits comfortably with, in that I can understand why someone, particularly when they've been let down, when they'd suffered some vicious assault, and then the guy, because it does tend to be guys, gets off.
Yeah.
Whether it's domestic violence or a sexual offence. So quite a lot of my books, they have strong female characters, and female characters who, find their own way of punishing the offender, put it that way.
I mean, that's quite refreshing, really, because I'm sure as probably a reader of crime, that for a long time it was women that were always the they were always the ones that were the victims. So actually, it's quite refreshing to have it, the boot on the other foot, because I mean,
I'm more comfortable with that. I mean, there's one called The Sisters, which is very much in that mold. It's about a number of women in a domestic violence hostel who decide to create their own ending again, in terms of the people who've wronged them.
Yeah.
So there's been a few where I've taken on those sort of themes. But I think because of the number of cases I saw where the courts just let people down.
Yeah, it must be very frustrating. I mean, not only for you, but for the victims, it must be. It must be just awful.
For the police who do the investigating, people perhaps don't realise how much people do feel it. Particularly if you're dealing with cases where a woman or a child has been a victim.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you put a lot into it, and courts, it's almost like a game of court, in terms of it's not necessarily about what happened. It's just about what you can prove.
Yeah.
So
you have to be able to play the game, really.
Yeah, and it's beyond all reasonable doubt. So even if a defence barrister can inject just that little bit of doubt, often by destroying the victim's image or personality or in the witness box, they go through everything. They go through the phones, anything that they can use against them, any photo, anything, they will. So it becomes a tough old experience for people.
Yeah. Well, I can see what I mean. There's a lot of, particularly with sort of rape, isn't there? It's not even reported because women know that, or people know that that's how it could end up, so they don't bother.
Yeah, and the chance of a conviction is dreadful. It's genuinely unbelievable, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's I know from speaking to people like characters, they feel the same about it, really. That system, I don't know how you change the system, but it's something needs to change, that's for sure.
How does when you sort of do your, because obviously you've got your own research from being in the police force and social work yourself, how do you have people now that you sort of keep in touch with and can speak to about sort of current sort of things?
My son-in-law is a detective in the Met, and my son is with the police locally.
Okay, so they've still got the family connection then.
Yeah, and there's always people I can talk to. Yeah, and I know a lot of the local police are reading the books as well, because I get that feedback. So.
And do they ever sort of pick you up on it if you sort of, so they say, oh, that wouldn't happen, or?
No. The crazy thing is, however extreme my books might seem, I don't think there's any police officer would be shocked by anything in them.
No.
I mean, that
That's good, isn't it? So, you know, that's a good thing to have.
Yeah, when we went to my son's passing out event. One of the trainers came up to me and told me, "Oh, I'm reading so and so at the moment."
Oh, really? And do you carry out any other sort of research, or is it just generally what you know?
No, I don't. No, not
No.
not at all. No, I just write from experience, really.
So what sort of this with the surgeon? What sort of challenges did it sort of came about from you, sort of when you were writing the book?
It was a really challenging book to write. I give myself lots of headaches, really. I think writing the first person I find quite easy. Like I've done that a few times. The wife is written in the first person, but I tend to write when I write in the first person from a single character. It tends to be a female character.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'm not really sure why. I think it's probably because of wanting to give the victim a voice, which is a sort of justice in itself, really. So doing that, there's that book. There's one called The Wife that's written in the first person. There's one called The Bride that's again written in the first person. But this one, as you know, because there's lots of different characters, I found that far harder. And the toughest thing was making the story coherent.
From having the three different having the different voices.
Voices.
Yeah.
For thinking, is the reader going to be able to make sense of this, or is it becoming too complicated? But my editor, I got a fantastic editor. Her name's Isabel Aikenhead. She's very experienced and very, very good. And she said when she read it, she said, "Oh, actually, it's really easy to follow," which was a relief. And that was good to hear, because I was thinking, have I done something that's going to be a bit too complicated? But it seems not, hopefully.
No, not at all. I mean, I think actually it's quite clear, quite a clear book. Actually, I think it's quite clear from, I mean, obviously it sort of says who they are, but you can tell their voices become quite clear quite early on. So because sometimes I've read multiple point of view books, and you'll be like, who's that? But actually there's no sort of worry with this one, because they're very determined of what they are.
That's good to hear, really, because that was the other thing, is giving each person a distinct personality.
Yeah.
So that hopefully they become more real in the reader's mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely wouldn't want to meet the professor in a dark alley anyway.
No, I wouldn't either. No. No thanks.
No. Do you do you ever have to sort of, when you're writing, like particularly when you're writing like sort of a bad character, a perpetrator, do you ever have to sort of have a break and think, I need to get out of this person's head?
I can switch between characters quite easily.
Yeah.
So perhaps not.
So you just sort of, you can just move to another one if you're,
It's become, the first book was different because it brought back a lot of memories which were perhaps best left in the past. But these are entirely fictional now.
So fiction. So yeah.
The first one, it was tough to write. Challenging in other ways, in terms of getting it finished, etc., and thinking, should it be a book at all, and should I just bin it or actually do something with it?
Well, it's amazing, like, to think, like, 70, if you hadn't, would you be sat here,
Probably never written anything.
No.
It's I mean, if I hadn't gone to see that psychologist, I'd probably never written anything. No.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, how sort of life turns out the way, like, you just start off doing one thing and then end up, completely by, I mean, I guess all your experiences are completely have completely shaped your sort of work, your new sort of work.
Yeah, I mean, that world I worked in, when I was sort of heading up the child protection thing, it almost feels like a different life now, because it's a good few years ago, because I didn't start writing until I was in my 50s. So it does. I took early retirement, so I retired relatively young.
Yeah.
Just because the job had become too much, really. I just had enough of it. But yeah, I mean, I got a second career that never envisaged or guessed would happen. It makes sense now, though. Now that I'm doing it, it seems really natural.
Because I guess that's the thing because people say, oh, the police retire early, but I imagine that's because quite often there's a lot of burnout and just
and social workers, we see a lot of burnt out staff.
Yeah, just because it's just so intense, people don't really understand the sort of the intensity of the job.
No, I to be honest, I found the child protection so tougher than the police work. Because it's you're dealing with nothing else. It's always those cases, and there's an absolute, even in an area like West Wales, there was an absolute flood of cases, and some very high profile cases. So it takes a toll on you mentally. I certainly saw it's all. I don't know if people realise how it works. It's all that sort of investigation is done jointly by social workers and police officers who are specially trained.
Right.
And they work together as a joint team. So I used to train the police officers and the social workers and sort of put together the procedures for how a case would be investigated and that sort of thing. And then if there was a particularly complex case, I'd get involved in chairing planning meetings and that sort of thing. So when you're doing that day in, day out, and you don't get shocked anymore, but you're still horrified by it.
Yeah.
For some cases. I'm glad I'm not doing it any longer, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. No, I mean, it sounds really intense, but I mean, really good that it's sort of, like you said, it's giving you a second career.
Yeah.
And something that's not as intense. I mean, I'm sure.
No, it's great actually. I can write or not write, depending on whether I want to do it. So.
How do you what is your sort of working what's your sort of working your writing sort of process?
I live in where we are now, which is we're about to leave for somewhere else, but I've got an office in the garden, so I usually go in there for a couple of hours. Usually start about 9 and finish about 12.
Okay.
And I usually got sort of music. Always actually, not usually, music of some kind playing, and that can range from classical to opera to punk to rock. It can be anything really, just what I fancy listening to.
Yeah, that's interesting with the music, because quite often people are like, they have to be like silent, but you like the.
Well, when I started off, I didn't have an office, and I was having to write at the sort of kitchen. Dining room table with all the family life going all around me, so there was no peace really. So I got used to it.
You got used to that noise, yeah.
At the moment, I'm taking a bit of a break because of a house move, so I haven't actually written anything for a few weeks. But I have got some editing to do in the next couple of weeks on book 18. It's just come back from the editor a few days ago, and so I'll have to get that done and send it back.
Yeah. And do you like the editing process? Is that something you like doing? Some people love it. Some people like doing the first draft. Some people,
I'm lucky really, because I've got a good editor, and the edits tend to be really light.
Yeah.
Whereas I know talk to some authors who have had to almost rewrite the book completely. I wouldn't be happy about that, to be honest. But fortunately, I think she understands what I'm trying to do with the stories, and the suggestions she makes are always, I tend to agree with them, and the book's almost always better for, always, I think, always better for them. So I appreciate what she does, and the books are better for her being involved, really. So.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's I guess in the beginning it's quite challenging, like when you've written something and then somebody wants to change it. But generally, editors really know their craft, don't they? So
they do. Yeah, I've had a couple of really good ones. I know some people don't get on with their editors. I've met a couple of authors who said they really struggle with what they've been asked to do.
Yeah.
But my experience has been quite the opposite. I've been really fortunate with the people I've worked with. No complaints at all.
That's really good. And have you always been a reader? Have you always enjoyed reading?
Yeah, I read a lot, but I don't tend to read much crime fiction. In fact, I can't remember the last one I did read.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
It tends to be either autobiographies or things like historical books, perhaps World War II.
Okay.
And very occasionally there'll be a book that I just that I wouldn't normally read, perhaps, but which I really enjoy, like The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho's book. I just loved that book. I think I've read that about 4 times. There's a book called Castaway by a lady called Lucy Urban.
Oh yes, yeah, I know the one. She goes on the desert island.
That's the one. I thought that was brilliant. I really loved that book. And another book I really enjoyed was Midnight Express by Billy Hayes.
I haven't read that.
It was made into an Oscar-winning film. He was a young American student who.
Oh, the guy who gets done for drug smuggling. Yeah. Oh God, I've seen the film. Yeah, the film is brutal.
Yeah, and the book is brilliant. I've actually know Billy, and his last book. Yeah, I was quite flattered. He quoted me on the back cover, which was
Oh wow, that's amazing.
I loved the book as a young guy, and I loved the film, so it was quite bizarre for me, really, that happening.
Yeah.
But that was nice. So those are 3 of my favorites. And I've just finished, I think it's Matt Haig's book, Midnight Library, it's called.
Oh yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
I really thought it was great.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, that's some great ones there. I mean, I think some people some people can't read, some people don't read what they write, but some people do. And who sort of inspired you over the years, do you think, sort of writing wise?
Certainly Midnight Express, which I read when I was about 14 or 15. I loved it, I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
And then a book called Papillon by, I think it's Henri Charrier. Might be wrong on that one. I thought that was brilliant. I read that when I was about the same age.
Yeah.
And then more recently, before I started crime writing, Dean Koontz I thought was really impressive.
Yeah, I read a lot of Dean Koontz when I was younger.
Yeah, me too. I think one of them was called Intensity. I thought that was really powerful stuff.
Yeah, no, he's great. I think he's still writing now. I think he is. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he is. Lots of people really. I used to, if I wanted to sort of something lighthearted, Leslie Thomas I used to really enjoy. The Virgin Soldiers.
Yeah.
The Dangerous Davis books. And more recently, I've read a couple of Bob Mortimer's, which have been entertaining.
Oh, like the Satsuma Complex and the Avocado something.
And his autobiography is brilliant.
He's really funny.
Hilarious, his autobiography. I thought that was fantastic. And I've just read Larry Lamb. It's a bit of a tongue twister for me. The guy Gavin and Stacey.
Oh yes, yeah.
I've just read his first novel, which is very, very good.
Is it?
Yeah, he's written an autobiography before. He's Gavin's father, and Gavin
So what genre has he written?
He's written I think it's heavily influenced by his acting career, really.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But
I really like him.
Yeah, he's great, and really lovely surprise. A couple of days ago, he's come in he's on a book tour, and he's actually coming to West Wales on the 1st of December.
Oh, great!
And Waterstones have asked me to do the interview.
Oh, fantastic! Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I've just read the book as well. So.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It'd be nice to meet people.
Yeah, I love doing. I love doing like these interviews, but I love doing sort of live interviews as well. So that's really good.
I've not actually done one before. I've done loads of public speaking, and I've done university lecturing and training various people, and lots of talks. But I've never actually done an interview of that kind. So
yeah, well, it'll be fine if you've done all those other things. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I'll be fine.
So, what sort of what you said you've got your sort of your 18th book, you're sort of finishing that one off, and then you've got sort of, have you got sort of 19 and 20 planned?
No, it'll come to me when I do them.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say I'm jaded at writing, because I do love writing. I think I'm, because the whole house move thing, and I'm just feeling very tired at the moment.
Yeah, well, that's understandable. I think if you've been going for a long move, that can be, it's quite wearing, isn't it?
It has been. So perhaps I'll have a little bit of a break now once I finish the editing, and then start number 19 sometime after Christmas, perhaps.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like a good time to start again, you know, like when you sort of the new year. And
yeah, process new year, that would be good. And I'll probably feel enthusiastic again then when I start.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I just need a bit of a rest, I think.
Has any of your, would you like to see any of the books sort of turned into sort of TV or anything? I mean, they're very, yeah,
that'd be fantastic. I mean, they're all audiobooks, which is great.
Yeah.
And The Surgeon is done by 2 actors. All the others are 1 actor, but this was the first one with 2, a male and a female, which I think really well. And I did have someone, a guy who used to be in Coronation Street, actually, a guy called Phil Rowlands. He's done lots of films, but he's a producer now and a director. He did pitch The Sisters. He wanted to write that as a script, but unfortunately, the TV company, had just signed a very similar story.
Oh, that's a shame.
So because of that, it fell through. So hopefully, a similar thing will come up again.
Yeah, I mean, I thought The Surgeon was quite. I could sort of see it as being sort of, you know, quite sort of. That's I think having those different voices, it sort of lends itself, doesn't it, to TV? Really, having those sort of individual.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, people have said about quite a few stories that they'd make good dramas. So
yeah,
yeah. I mean, it might happen. Who knows?
Yeah, well, you never know. Somebody might be watching, and
you never know.
You know,
there's a few been done in other languages and things, which is always a bit of a buzz. You know, I'm always pleased when that happens.
Yeah.
And they're in all the libraries and yeah, in various shops, and so you know, I'm just pleased with the way it's gone, really.
Yeah. Do you go and you're saying you're interviewing, but do you do sort of panels and things? Have you been on sort of, or you know,
I have done, but I did a thing in a couple of local libraries this year because they asked me to, basically.
Yeah.
And I've done a couple of sort of book festival things, but I haven't done one for a while now. So I was actually invited this winter to go to Iceland Noir.
Oh yeah, that sounds amazing. I want to go there one year.
Yeah, I actually got invited to go there as one of the contributors this year. But unfortunately, it's this month, which is exactly when we were moving.
Oh no. Oh well, I'm sure you'll get asked again.
I hope so. Yeah, I'm going to write to them, I think, and say, can I come next year?
Yeah, no, it looks great. It looks really, really good.
Yeah, that sounded like a great opportunity.
Yeah.
So yeah, if anyone else wants to invite me anywhere, then give me a shout.
Yeah, just get the house move done first. And
then get that done first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was supposed to go to Florida as well. There was sort of some minor award thing, and I was invited to Miami, but it was COVID time, so it all got.
Oh no, you're not doing very lucky with COVID and house moving.
That got cancelled, so my Miami trip didn't happen.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, with the going back to The Surgeon, sort of that's out now. And you said it's on audiobook as well. So I think
it's in large print if you want to borrow it from a library.
It's always good to go from a library. I worked in libraries for 18 years, so
yeah, they're great. I love our local libraries. They're in large print. They're in, I think, something called a trade paperback, which I didn't know was a thing.
Oh yeah, I've got some of those. It's sort of like it's a bit bigger than a traditional paperback.
Yeah, so I'm told. I haven't actually seen one yet, but they are. I know The Surgeon's available as a trade paperback, hardback. and audiobook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you, when you sort of, you touched on about the audiobooks, that sort of, is that sort of interesting, like hearing it, like hearing your words like acted out?
Yeah, it's great. I do get some choice in terms of the actor as well, which is great.
Okay.
Like the publisher will send me a list of possibilities, and I'm able to listen to the different people and decide who's best for the characters.
Oh, great! Oh, that's good. So you really do get like to know the voice of the character.
Yeah, that really strange thing happened with the surgeon. Actually, I was sent some female voices, and the person who got chosen, well, I chose, was Fiona Ainsley, who's an actor who lives in London. But the really strange thing was, this is just a complete coincidence. I had no idea who she was. Just chose her from a list. I've been listening to various voices.
Yeah.
She rang me before to ask a few questions before she did the recording, and she said, "Oh, did you know? Do you know someone called Andy Ainsley?" I said, "Yeah." And her dad was actually one of the childcare team managers in West Wales when I was heading up Childcare.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Small world.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, really weird.
Just a complete coincidence. Yeah. But she did a fantastic job, and I'm hoping she's going to do the next one.
Oh, that's good. I think I really like it as well. When you get an author who uses sometimes they use the same, and I think you really get a feel for that voice of the author as well as the book. Then if you get the same, I really like that.
Yeah, she's happy to do it, so I'll just have to talk to publishers. That one, The Girl in the Attic, it's all in one voice, and it's a female voice.
Okay. Oh, that could work really well.
So I think she'd do a great job. Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, that sounds good. Yeah, I think that you just never know, do you? Like who's sort of is around and
no. I've been lucky. I mean, I've had some great narrators who've done a fabulous job. So it's great.
So just before we go, would you like to sort of just do a quick elevator pitch of The Surgeon, if for anybody who's thinking about picking it up?
Ooh, I should have thought of that before now. Yeah, hopefully it's a suspenseful, fast-paced story that has some depth in terms of character development. Hopefully it's an exciting story, which will get people involved in perhaps cheering for some characters and booing for others.
I think booing is a understatement. It's definitely all of those things. I think gripping, it's dark and it's tense, a lot of tension, which is really good. So I really enjoyed it, and I look forward to reading some more of your books, John. It's quite nice when I know that you've got that many. I can dip in and out of your back catalogue now.
Quite a few of them now,
yeah. Oh, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck with the house move, and good luck with book 18 even.
18, yeah.
And 19 actually, but we'll do 18 first. And thank you again.
It's been a pleasure, and thank you for asking me onto the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks everybody. Bye.
All the best.